Hi everyone, Jenny here with a few teaching tips for the break and fit activity this upcoming week. So let me go ahead and first just tell you what the activity is. It's the second half of this Vitro activity, and so we're already going to be familiar with these rectangles with the students. And the new activity, instead of deciding if they are the same size and everything, is going to be to see if we can fit each of these rectangles into the white rectangle in as few pieces as possible, so with as few cuts as possible. And I think there's two good ways to go through this in the breakout rooms with the students. First way that I think is good is to do it in the slides. To do this, you'll need to make a copy, so you can see up here. This is a copy of the M2 slides, and I've just made my own personal copy in Google Slides so that I can edit things and it won't mess up the main copy. So what you'll do is you'll just copy this slide here. You can see I've made a copy, and then you'll delete all of these except for one of them. So I'm not going to go through it right now, but you can see I would just delete all of the pieces except for one. So I'll show you the slide that I already made. Here's the slide that I already made. And I've left just one of these rectangles and one of the arrows, just to remind students. So sorry about my dog. Okay, so I've left one of these rectangles at the bottom just to remind students what the goal is for this particular slide. You'll make one of these for each of the 4 or 5 rectangles you want to work with. And then here you can see I've made copies. I've made copies of the rectangle I'm trying to fit into the white rectangle. And originally these pieces were lying about and they were whole like this one. So maybe I'll just do that. So originally I just had 3 pieces that were whole like this, okay? And all I do is I place them under the direction of the students. Obviously I don't have any students here, but after placing them, you can see, okay, well that much fits into the frame of the rectangle, and I can crop it to just be the part that lies outside. So this is what's left over. This is what's left over after I fit this piece inside of the white frame. I've got this leftover bit. Okay, now I'm going to crop this leftover bit again. Let's say the students wanted me to place it there. Okay, I'll crop this leftover bit right here. Okay, and that will be the leftover bit when I leave this piece in here. So you can see my cropping didn't work perfectly because I don't have a mouse. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult if you don't have a mouse to, like the laptop trackpad makes it a little harder to do this cropping precisely. So this might be good if you're on a desktop or if you've got like a portable mouse or anything like that. So what's the other option? Let me stop my screen share here. If you've got a tablet, then another option, instead of making copies of the slides ahead of time to share with the students, is to do something like a Jamboard. And I really like this option because it really lets the students interact with the activity on their own. So what you would do here is you would make a bunch of copies. You can see I just made a Google Jamboard, and you would maybe make one for each student, right? So like, here's Melissa's board, and here's Joshua's board, and something like that. Okay, and then here's mine. I'll write Jenny at the top of mine. Okay, and what you'll do is maybe a little bit ahead of time, you can make these perfect rectangles for the students. Okay, and you can use this assistive drawing tool. You can see my rectangle didn't turn out totally perfect. Let me draw a new one. All right, there's my 2 by 12 rectangle, and I'll just go ahead and delete this one. Okay, so there's my 2 by 12, and then I'll switch colors and draw a 2.4 by 10 one. Okay, so maybe there's my 2.4 by 10. And you can see I didn't really make measurements. It just has to look kind of like the ones on the slides. And you can make a copy of these for each of your students before you start. So I'm not going to do that now, but that's what you would do. And then the students can play with it on their own. And I would recommend here just verbally saying to them, okay, make sure everybody can get to the Jamboard and make sure that they all know how to write on it. And then say, okay, we're going to have 3 minutes of quiet time for everybody to think. Set up a timer on your phone to run out the whatever 2 or 3 minutes. And then at the end, you can ask students to share whatever their solution is. So an example of something that students might draw here is maybe I'll cut up this 2.4 by 10 thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see I'm not very good with my spatial reasoning. My squares aren't really the same size, but I can just label. So let me label here. This is 2.4 by 2. Each of these is 2 inches. Okay, so this is 5 2.4 by 2 rectangles. Okay, and how am I going to place these in the 2 by 12 rectangle? Well, this side that's a 2 inch is going to correspond to this side. So I'm using colors to label matching sides. Okay, and in this case, that means I need 2.4 inches on each of these sides. So each of these is 2.4, and again, I've got 5 2 by 2.4 rectangles. Okay, and then they can see that they can chop up these pieces and place them into the rectangle. And it's not as interactive with like the cropping, but it is a little faster and the students get to play with it on their own, which I really enjoy. I think it engages them when they're allowed to like draw and think about it and then share their solutions with their peers. So this is another option for the break and fit activity. All right, so apologies about my dog barking and audio issues and everything. This is the 5th time I'm making this video. I've had a ton of technical issues. I look forward to seeing you all in the training meeting on Monday or the Wednesday session. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.